everyone, my name is Sandra Selvey, and this is my video presentation for the International Studies class of Latin America. It is August the 9th, 2015. My presentation is on Augusto Pinochet, who was the Chilean dictator from 1973 to 1990. Augusto Pinochet was a lifetime career Army officer. He rose up to the ranks of Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces from being appointed by President Salvador Allende. Little did he know that 18 days later, Pinochet will help overthrow the Allende government, and a junta military government would be set up. So on September 11th, 1973, the coup occurred. It was during that time that President Allende was killed, although allegedly it is said that he killed himself at the presidential palace. Also, thousands of Allende supporters were rounded up and placed in the National Stadium to be tortured, killed, or jailed. So during the coup, a junta military government was set in place, and that consisted of the top 4 military officers of the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Police. And of course, Augusto Pinochet was the Army military officer, and he was one of the officers that was put in place of the government. So by 1974, it was determined that Pinochet would be made the president of Chile, with the other military officers being placed in an advisory role. By 1981, Pinochet had developed a new constitution, making him the president for the next 8 years and allowing him to be re-elected to president for the next 8 years. During his early years, Pinochet had good economic outcomes. There was a big economic boom, and plus the inflation rate was very low. However, that did not last very long. We started seeing an increase in unemployment, and the inflation rate started going sky high. So by the mid-80s, the citizens of Chile were becoming dissatisfied with him. He would not let people talk against him or the government, and so they rejected his presidency for the next 8 years. So by 1990, he was out of office. Once he left office, he was allowed to stay on as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, and based on the Constitution that he put in place, he was to remain senator for life. So going back to the late 1970s, early 80s, when Pinochet was still president, he, along with several other South American countries, formed an alliance called Operation Condor, where they seeked out leftist movement sympathizers, or I should say more like socialist movement sympathizers. And these people were assassinated or they disappeared. Moving forward to 1998, Pinochet left, resigned being Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, possibly due to medical reasons, because during 1998 he traveled to the United Kingdom to seek medical advice. While he was there, the Spanish government wanted to have him extradited to Spain due to the torture and treatment of Spanish citizens while he was president. However, the British government, although they detained him in England, they did not ever extradite him to Spain. He was ultimately released in 2000 to go back to his home in Chile due to being not fit to stand trial. Once Pinochet returned back to Chile in 2000, his immunity to prosecution was lifted by the Chilean government. And he was arrested on human rights abuse for all of the torture and assassinations that were done in Chile. However, in 2002, the charges were dropped due to him not being medically able to stand trial. In 2005, charges were refiled against Pinochet due to the bodies found in Argentina of political dissidents. However, in 2006, before he could stand trial, he died. So to summarize the legacy of Augusto Pinochet, he was a brutal dictator who had thousands of people killed in Chile.